Hare Krishna. Be vigilant to know when the mind becomes incoherent. Suppose we are working with someone and suddenly that person starts talking incoherently. If that person is normal and they start talking incoherently, we may try to argue with them, try to make them see sense, and we will wonder, why is this person talking like this? Especially when they talk nonsense and they don't understand what we are saying also. But suppose we come to know that they have dementia, and because of that they just switch off sometimes, just go off into another world, and they just become, what they do becomes completely incoherent and insensible. Then we may just at that time stop communication with them, just continue our work, and when they come back to a normal way of functioning, then we will talk with them and interact with them. So similarly, our mind is like that. It sometimes just switches off. Normally, when we function, our mind gives us some ideas, do this, and we think about it and we act. And in that way, the mind is constantly speaking something and we are responding to it. But sometimes the mind just starts coming up with crazy ideas. And these ideas can be negative, that sometimes people get depressed, and suddenly that person, the mind says, life just sucks. Why don't you just end your life? Commit suicide. That person is shocked. What nonsense. But if that person keeps hearing the mind, then that thought will become so powerful that the person will seriously start considering that. In contrast, the mind may sometimes come up with some idea of some stupid enjoyment. Like say, if we drive on a bike or a car at a super high speed just to show off to others, and then there is some water or oil spilled on the road, and we just again destroy ourselves. So when the mind starts becoming incoherent, when it just starts coming up with crazy ideas, we have to know that it has switched off now, and we need to turn away from it. So for this we need to be vigilant. If a person outside starts behaving incoherently, it's easy to identify. But because the mind is inside us, it is more difficult to understand. However, if we study the Bhagavad Gita carefully, then we will understand that we are different from our mind. And when we understand this hierarchy of being, which the Bhagavad Gita talks about in 3.41, for example, it says, Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manah manasastu para buddhe yo buddhe paratastu saha. It says that above the body are the senses, above the senses are the mind, above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. So we are the soul and we have our intelligence, which if we keep alert, then we will be able to catch the mind as soon as it starts becoming incoherent. Then we will calm ourselves down, we will disconnect ourselves from the mind, and the most effective way to disconnect ourselves from the mind is by connecting ourselves with Krishna. The more we focus the mind on Krishna, try to chant his name, study his message, remember his glories, the mind calms. First of all, we calm down, and gradually the mind calms down. So with the philosophy being regularly heard, we will understand that we are different from our mind, and the mind is often dangerous and it tends to become incoherent, and then when we become vigilant, we will protect ourselves from the incoherence and even the insanity that the mind may be subjected to in its occasional spells. And gradually, by our steady focus on Krishna, those spells will decrease and then they will get eliminated. And then we can purposefully and joyfully do constructive things in our life, in our service to Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.